Hello, welcome back. Next up, we've got our profit clinic. It's how to make more money and cut your overheads. We're going to be looking at some practical hints and tips for how you can make more cash. Our experts are going to be here to explain how more money can be made simply from stock you already have or some easy to implement opportunities. So please put your hands together for my guests. Hi. Right, a couple of introductions. On my left, we have Amanda Massey. She's the head of sales at GardX, where she helps dealers make more money from every car sale with their products. We've got Keith from WMS. Is that right? No, we haven't. Why is my script wrong? Okay. Okay, we've got Rob standing in for Keith. Then we've got Clive Southwell, electric mobility consultant, key account manager at charging point company NewMotion. And on the end there, Mark Thomas, who is our Vice President of Marketing at Ridecell, an American company that's new to the UK and gives dealers more opportunities for each sale. Okay, so let's kick things off. Amanda, dealers are always looking for more opportunities to maximise profit, and GardX are very good at helping them. Perhaps you could give us some practical tips they can take away today and implement tomorrow. What would you suggest?
Sure. I think for us it's about engaging with the customer as early as possible in the customer journey. We're conscious that customers now do a lot of research online. It's very important to them to be able to do that in the comfort of their own home. And I think it's about engaging with the customers at this point and having the products available. I imagine there are still many people that don't have the product ranges on their website. For us, that's key. What you actually want is an informed customer to come into the showroom, and instead of being sold a product or told about a product, to perhaps be so informed that they actually ask about the product range. So for me, it's using the digital technology and the awareness of the product range at the very earliest stages, so that the customer journey that you take the customer through becomes an easier process for the customer, and they're very well informed.
Rob, apologies for introducing you incorrectly. Perhaps you could give some practical tips for dealers on increasing their profits.
Yeah, I think right on the back of what Amanda just said, when you look at most dealers in terms of how they go about their business, there's a lot of focus on how they shift the metal, how they sell the car. But actually the added value services that you can then provide, the things like GardX, or when you start looking at extended warranties and WMS, and a lot of the people that I've been in the workshops talk about making it frictionless. And I think there's a lot of friction in terms of adding the value to the sale. So things like extended warranty, making it much more easy for the customer to understand the value that you're putting into that, and looking at things in terms of deferring the payment, which is something that we're keen on to make it easy for customers to buy. I think the challenge is when you add services on, is people see it as a difficult sell, and then salespeople avoid it. So I think it's actually getting the mindset around all the add-ons are about adding value to the sale. They're not about just taking more money off the customer. And if you add the value, the customers are more likely to buy into it.
Is there a technique that dealers can ask their salesmen to use that really helps when it comes to selling it in that way?
Yeah, I mean, if you want a specific kind of word track technique, to steal my own thunder if you're not coming into my workshop later, but is introducing it as something they might be interested in, as opposed to a straightforward, do you want an extended warranty, is introducing it in terms of people who bought a car like yours we're also interested in. And it's something that I've labelled as the Amazon technique, because that's what Amazon do to you all the time. Yeah. But it's actually introducing it something as other people find value in this, so do you want to have a look at it as well? And I think that makes the difference, as opposed to just getting to the end and saying, so do you want the paint protection, do you want the extended warranty, did you want the gap? And it's just a list of things, did you want? And people just go, no thanks. So I think you've got to look at how you present that and how you position it when you put it in.
And are you finding that works? I mean, have you got...
Absolutely, yeah. It makes a big difference. I mean, does it work? Well, Amazon do it to us every day, and they don't even get to speak to us. You click on anything on Amazon, and they'll say, people who bought this also bought this. And sometimes you look at the stuff that people bought, and you think, really? Where's the link between what they've bought? But they still introduce it to you. And so I think that if you introduce it to people with the referral that other people are doing this, then they're much more likely to look at it and look at it seriously.
Thank you. Clive, electric cars are obviously something that's worrying the industry in some respects. It's changing the face of it. How can dealers make more profit from them?
Well, I look at this from sort of working as a sales manager and dealer principal for 30 years, and say, well, a lot of the things that used to be add-ons when I started don't exist anymore. So what you've got to do as a dealer is look for what's the next thing that's coming down the line that you can add to your portfolio that you can sell to bring money into your dealership. And I don't know a single dealer group yet that's actually looking at what can we do with electric vehicles and charging to actually bring that in to start making money from it. Lots of people just give those customers away to various charge point manufacturers and say, here's this customer, they're buying an electric car, you can go and sell them a charge point. There's a profit opportunity for you guys out there to actually engage with, sell that to the customer, make a profit out of it, and keep an ongoing relationship with that customer for the period that they run that charge point. It's all about data. It's all about looking for new products that you can sell to replace the stereos and the paint protections and everything else that we've always sold, or put them in addition to.
So, I mean, I've bought a charging point for my house, and I ended up buying it online from a company where you had to fill out lots of forms, and there was a huge amount of regulation. Is that something that's going to scare dealers, or is it something that they can deal with themselves?
It shouldn't worry them at all. It's a very simple process. We look after all of the customers right across Europe for people like Arval and other lease companies, and with motor manufacturers and dealer groups across Europe. It's as simple as having a link on a computer that they just transfer the customer's details across to on a portal, and it's picked up by somebody that deals with the whole thing for them. They don't even have to really engage in trying to sell that. They can show the customer something in the showroom. They could have one in the showroom to say, this is the sort of thing you could look at, but then the whole thing is actually carried out for them by somebody that knows what they're doing, and at the end of the month, hey, look, they get money in the bank.
Thank you. Mark, perhaps you could explain a little bit about Ridecell and how that could help dealers make some more cash.
Certainly. My name's Mark Thomas. I'm here from Silicon Valley representing Ridecell. At this show, the day one and day two opened with speeches from Twitter and Google. It's clear that the digital revolution that's taking place is really changing the nature of how people shop for cars. There's still, I think, two places where the digital world and the dealership world are not in sync. And the first of those is somebody does their entire buyer's journey, reads the reviews, decides on a vehicle, but still wants that experience of the test drive. So what do you make them do? They come in to the dealership. They have to, open the doors and find somebody and kind of catch them up. Well, the typical on-demand model that people are used to now is you download an app. So we make it possible for someone to download an app that would be your dealer app. They could not just schedule an appointment with the app, but actually take a picture of their driver's license, take a picture of themselves, take a picture of their credit card, and then be able to go to the dealership knowing that they have a reservation to test drive a vehicle. And being able to walk up to that car, open the app, unlock the vehicle, get in, and take it for a test drive completely on their own. And then when you think that you've enabled people to do this so that they can continue this buyer's journey on their own, which they're actually quite comfortable with, then you realize you don't have to make them come to you. You can put these cars in visible places around the city with a barcode and some writing on it saying, would you like to test drive this car? So you can start to get the vehicles to where your customers are instead of having to bring your customers out to you. These are using some classic techniques that we do for car sharing. Our company enables BMW, Volkswagen, and Renault to run car sharing services throughout the world. And it's just one of the many use cases of the same technology being put to use for a different purpose that could definitely attract a new kind of customer.
Thank you. Rob, I'm going to come to you on this one. Is profit is profit a dirty word, and is it something that dealers should hide from customers, or should they just be open and explain this is a business transaction and they need to make some money out of it?
Well, I don't think we can say profit is a dirty word, because profit is what every business is about. I think it's how you get to that profit, and it's about adding value to the customer. And actually you see, and even in times of recession, that the companies that look after their customers the best are the ones that survive the recession. And it's all about adding value. I think the interesting thing is, when you look at how you drive sales or how you get more business, is everything that we seem to talk about is how do we attract new customers into the business. But actually the technology and things that we've got available now should be the things that allow us to build the relationship with the customer so that we get more repeat business, and we grow our business from an organic point of view by taking a fair profit out of people for the value that we add to the business, and focusing more on how do we add that value. And that's what I say. So when you think about things like extended warranties and the way that we present that, is present it as adding value and you take the profit. If you present it as, oh, do you want to buy one of these because I'll make more profit out of you, then profit becomes a dirty word. People don't mind you making a profit if you add the requisite amount of value to them. And that's really, for me, about what the extended services are all about, is adding that value that makes it then worth the customer making the investment. So, no, profit's not a dirty word. It's just how you get to it.
Amanda, do you echo those thoughts, or do you think dealers should be open about the profit that they're making?
Yeah, I do. I think dealer overheads are increasing. I think we have to be mindful that they have to pay wages, they have to keep the lights on, and a customer that purchases a vehicle wants to be able to come back to that dealership in 5-10 years' time and repeat that service. If they're not there because they're not making a profit, then that's going to be a very unhappy customer. I don't think it's a dirty word, and I think I echo the words that Rob said there. It has to be a fair commission, a fair earning of a margin for a product that's right for the customer. Customers will pay slightly more, but they'll only pay slightly more if they've been delivered an excellent service and they've actually chosen to buy something from someone because they were given that excellent service. And we all do in this industry pay slightly more when we go out and about. In the retail world we do. If you've bought into somebody and they've given you an excellent service, then you perhaps will pay slightly more. And I don't think we'd be shy of that. And no, it's not a dirty word.
Can I just add something to that, James? Because one of the challenges we have in our industry is we provide a service based on our level of margin, not based on the investment the customer makes. If you go into a jeweller's to spend 10, 15, 20,000 pound on a watch, the level of service you get from that jeweller will be exceptional. You know, they'll sit you down, they'll get the champagne out, they'll put the cloth out, and they'll treat you like royalty if you're going to spend 15,000 pound on a watch. You go in and spend 15,000 pound on a car, and you don't get anything like that service. And the challenge is we don't add the value for the level of investment that the consumer has to make. We add the value to our perception of what our margin is. And because the margins are smaller on the expensive purchase, we tend not to give that extra service. And then going on to the additional things that we're talking about, like extended warranties, etc. When you buy the watch, it's the same. But there's much more value in what you're buying and the way they deliver it to you that you feel more inclined to share your money with that supplier. Whereas with the car dealership, we're giving £800 worth of service on a £15,000 purchase. So I think it's just changing that mindset to how we get to that profit.
Mark, how do dealers and estates deal with profit? Are they open about it?
You know, I think back to the question of service, it's worth what do you get? And so the dealers, especially around Silicon Valley, have realized that luxury and service aren't necessarily champagne or beautiful leather chairs in the waiting room. It's skipping the waiting room. It's the ability to have the app economy that people have become comfortable with, and being able to download that app, being able to say, this is my appointment to, say, bring my car in for service. I need a loaner car. Put the tick box and have the ability for them to drop the car off. You know, the keys are left inside. They walk over to the loaner car, press the button, open the door, and drive off. It's the ability to expedite. I mean, time is the new economy, and so using an app, to automate some of these things that typically, getting your service loaner car can be a bit of a mystery. They run off with your driver's license and insurance paperwork and, swipe your credit card, and then you come back and you've been waiting there 15, 20 minutes. So it's up-leveling that degree of the customer experience that then makes the experience more worthwhile and gives people more willingness to pay.
Clive, in your experience in the dealer world, I mean, how have you dealt with profit over time? Have you explained what you're making on deals as you sat with customers?
No, and if you look at most industries, you go into a store, you buy your furniture, whatever, they don't actually declare to you, we've just made this amount of profit out of you. I think one thing that's very apparent within the motor industry is over that period of time is the way that margins have shrunk, that people are very pleased now on an average used car if they're taking a £1,500 profit. 30 years ago when I started as a car salesman, we used to take £1,500 profit. So the reality is that we actually don't, as an industry, fleece the customer. And most dealers provide quite a good level of service. There are exceptions to that, and if you look around the area of electric vehicles that I've been involved with for the last 10 years, the majority of dealerships that I go into, even those where the manufacturer has been selling an electric vehicle for a long time, they don't understand it. They don't understand all the things that go around it to make it work properly for the customer, and they don't therefore inform the customer properly. And I think a big part, as other people on the panel have said, is providing a level of service. So if we're selling something, we need to make sure that we actually know we are the experts. We know everything about it, so that customer goes away feeling comfortable with the purchase that they've made and fully informed about everything that goes with it. That's key if you're providing a service for someone, and it's that level of service that people expect now from what they deem to be a professional in their job.
Amanda, when you visit dealerships and give them a health check, what are the things that you look for, and what are the things that you advise them to do to ensure they're maximising profit?
Well, I think first of all, it's having a strong sales process in place. It's not our place to dictate that sales process, but it is our place to enhance it, support them, and explain perhaps where they could make improvements. And I think it's more about making sure that the product is visible and bringing the product to the customer, rather than the customer waiting until they've got all the way through the customer journey and they're then hit with 3-4 products, and it becomes a roadblock. If the customers are informed, and the sales executives and the people in the dealerships are actually informing the customers and actually giving the customer the opportunity to purchase, I think that's part of the problem, is that perhaps they make assumptions for customers, which we shouldn't. Everybody deserves the right to be open, to be explained the product range, and then they make that informed decision if it's right for them. But for me, it's about that relationship and walking the customer through that journey and explaining the product so early on that it doesn't become a problem or a roadblock at deposit point where they're about to purchase the vehicle, and then they get told about 3 or 4 products that actually we didn't see coming and we're really not interested in. Those products do have a value in this industry, and they add an importance, and they add a value to the industry in terms of profitability for the dealers. We shouldn't shy away from it. We just should embrace it and make sure that customers are far more informed.
And what are the best performing GardX dealers doing to really push these products home? Is there anything that other dealers can take from the best performing ones?
Yeah, I think websites, availability of the products, as I mentioned earlier, is key, so visibility. We also have to consider distance selling. We did some research recently on websites, because obviously if you go online to part exchange and you want to value your vehicle, it was amazing how many websites were lacking in questions for the consumer. So did you perhaps take paint and fabric with your last purchase? Did this car have gap insurance on it? And those questions were just blatantly missing. And if you're building the perception to the customer that I may add value to my part exchange price, then I think that's a good thing for them to take away. And customers that were asked those questions also then asked those questions when they came into the dealerships, because what is that product you've asked me about? I'm not sure. Tell me about it. It makes it a more engaging relationship with the customer.
Rob, when you do a health check of a dealership when it comes to profit, what are the key things that you look for?
I think for me, first of all, is the way they do business, and if you like, building on the Silicon Valley examples, is moving away from the transactional approach to doing business to being much more experiential. So allowing consumers to behave how they want to behave when they come into the business. You know, if you go and listen to any of the digital guys, and they're talking now about how informed people are, you know, the Google presentation earlier, in terms of the amount of information people arrive with, they actually know what their journey is, and we should just be facilitating that journey, and then using all of the point of sale materials and things that we've got around us to create an experience and allow consumers to choose, and giving them everything that they possibly can and adding the value to. Why would they want to invest in the car, for example? When they walk through the door, you know, my favorite phrase is, they've not come to tell you they don't want one. And in this day and age, that's you know, more pertinent than ever. They've done all the research online, and they've walked through the door to say, I've chosen my vehicle, I might have chosen my supplier, it depends how you behave towards me, and these are the things I want. There are other things that they might not know about, things like extended warranties, things like GAP, things like paint protection, and I think that's our role then, to create that experience and take the point of sale materials from the supplier, and, you know, and get the extended warranties and put them out in front of people and put the GAP out in front of people so they understand what they are and they can buy them, but as an experience, not as a transaction.
So is it about advertising these products online just as well as the cars themselves? So when these consumers are doing their research, they know all about them and they want to buy them anyway?
Yeah, I think it's making everything available to the consumer at every step of the journey so that they can create their own experience and decide how they want to buy and what they want to buy. I think the days of, you know, us being salespeople and our job is to just sit there and you don't know anything, so you need me. Actually, that's the wrong way around. There's a good chance that the customer that walks through the door has been on your website 3 or 4 times more in the previous week than you or your salespeople have, and they'll know what's on there. And that's a great place to start and signpost that these things are available. So they walk in and they say, so this extended warranty, what is it? And then we can actually talk to them, well, what do you mean by gap insurance? Do I really need the gap insurance? We can start to signpost those things for people, and they can create their own buying experience.
Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. At 11 o'clock, in 5 minutes' time, with Rebecca, we're doing a session on property and when is the right time to expand. But please put your hands together for my fantastic panel. Thank you.
Thank you.